back to Pao Talks. I hope y'all had a good week. I am excited for what's coming up around the corner. I don't know if you guys are prepping for Thanksgiving. Lots of food, lots of delicious food. I don't know where y'all located, but we're revving up for Thanksgiving. And I am looking forward to the food and gathering with friends and family. It's going to be a little rough for us this year, but we're going to push through it and definitely eat lots of yummy food. And man, the weather has been like really crazy. Talking about flu season over here. So many people getting sick. So y'all stay on top of y'all health and y'all vitamins because it's going around, especially the flu. I don't know if it's going around where y'all at. But I am excited because I have been like waiting for this episode because I am going to be talking about the one and only Guillermo del Toro. He just directed and it just recently released. I don't know if y'all have seen it, so spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, come back after you've seen it. Frankenstein. It is the remake of Frankenstein and I'm so excited because he freaking delivered. Okay, so we're going to get into it because I was a fan even before he even did the movie because he does so many cool movies. So for those of you who do not know who the director Guillermo del Toro is, he has made exceptional movies. Some of my all-time favorites. He's done Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So he's done Pacific Rim, he's done Crimson Peak, and also, for if you guys don't know, he's done The Book of Life, which is such a cool way, the way he taught the story of The Book of Life. But yes, so get your little snacks while we, talk about Frankenstein. Okay, so this movie is 2 hours and 29 minutes, okay? You definitely need the snacks. You need the drinks. You need the kids to be, on their tablets, away in their room, playing with toys. And you need to set up for the vibe, okay? Because it's definitely a long movie. But once you're in it, and you do not want to stop in the middle of the movie. If you don't know the way his style is, it's very, how can I say it? It's very cold. It makes it feel like it's nighttime. You can be watching it during the day, but it almost makes it feel like it's night. But amazing interpretation. The movie is set in the 1800s, and we're going to dive into some of the main characters of the movie, because they did an exceptional job as well. I don't know how he went about picking these people, but he did really good. So the first one that we're going to talk about is Victor Frankenstein. And obviously he's a lead role. He is the person that actually creates the creature that we, for some reason, knew as Frankenstein. Because for some reason, I feel like people thought Frankenstein was like the one that we see, with like the scars and the bolts, and that's not who Frankenstein is. That is the creature. Victor Frankenstein is who created the creature. And this role was played by Oscar Isaac, and he comes out in some really cool movies. One of them is Moon Knight, which is the Marvel universe. And another one well-known movie that he plays in is called Dune. So I know him from those movies. I don't know too much of his work, but the ones that I have seen, he's done really good work. And this is definitely a whole different side of him. I would have never pictured him doing this kind of work, but it suited him so well. He definitely portrayed Victor Frankenstein so well. And so basically, Victor Frankenstein comes from a rich family, and his father is a doctor, and he has a very really close relationship to his mother. Now, his mother is much younger than his father, and his father goes away all the time. And so he has a close-knit relationship with his mother, and in the process, she ends up pregnant for her second child, but dies in labor. Mind you, his father's a doctor, and it's almost interpreted like as though he did not do everything that he needed to do to save her. He only saved the baby. So that left a lot of scars in Victor Frankenstein. He had a love-hate relationship with being a doctor because he looked at it differently than his father. And he became obsessed with the afterlife because of that loss of his mother. And his father was obsessed with him becoming a successful doctor, but like I said, they viewed becoming physicians or doctors very differently. His father then passed, and he went on to become a doctor, but of course explore the thought of afterlife or bringing someone back to life because of the loss of his mother. Throughout the movie, I noticed Guillermo del Toro was very particular in the colors, in the settings and the colors to each character. So this particular character, Victor Frankenstein, him and his mother were the only ones that wore red throughout the movie, which kind of connected them throughout the entire movie. And because he was the creator of the creature, anytime you would see blood or things that were red, it would only be him, which, basically shows you his relationship to creating this creature. But he was obsessed with bringing a man back to life. And of course, he was successful. He did have his baby brother in the movie, and his baby brother had a love interest, and which moves on to the second main character, which is Mia Goth. Mia Goth is, I don't think she was a very well-known actress. She does come out in some really cool movies that I've seen, but I don't think they were popular where people knew her work. She came out in the movie X, A Cure for Wellness, and Nymphomaniac, which are really like rated R movies that I don't know just anyone would watch them, but she did really good work. In this particular movie, she took on the roles of two characters. They made her be Victor Frankenstein's mother. So she was Claire Frankenstein. And then after she passed away, later on, whenever his brother brought his love interest, they brought on Elizabeth Lavenza, and that became his love interest. And they look very similar. And I think that's why he gravitated to her, or like being interested in her, because she reminded him of his mother that he lost. So her character was very unique because you definitely felt the heaviness of the story. She had like a relationship with insects, and that was interpreted in a lot of her costumes, which drew your eye to life within her. And she was very protective of her. And a lot of her clothes were like Victorian style that were inspired, but they were so beautiful. The clothing, like the costumes that were used in the entire movie, very intentional, very, very intentional. Groundbreaking, because some of the dresses and the headpieces, the way they made her interpret that character, I hadn't seen before, and it was very, very beautiful. She definitely had an angelic, mysterious look to her, whether it be in a motherly way or like a love interest kind of way. She definitely played that role really well. I thought it was weird that she was kind of like in between the two brothers, which was kind of like a triangle in itself. It was weird because it from a triangle it becomes a square. Because later on she becomes interested in the creature. She relates more to the creature, which leads us to the main character, which is the creature. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you guys. I could not believe how amazing Frankenstein looked in this movie. The way they made it look was super relatable, not scary. This person that interpreted Frankenstein just set the bar so high. So the creature was played by the one and only Jacob Elordi. He's an Australian actor. He's fine as hell. Ooh, Lord Jesus, he is fine. He comes out in some really cool movies. He comes out in Saltburn. He comes out in The Kissing Booth, 1, 2, and 3 as the main interest. He also comes out in the show Euphoria, and then also he was Elvis in the movie Priscilla. And he has a movie coming out soon too. It's called Wuthering Heights. That one's gonna be really good too. But anyhow, I don't know about y'all, but in the movie, he looks really freaking tall, right? And I'm thinking like, man, this is a tall man. In real life, he really is that tall. He is 6 feet, 5 inches tall of amazingness. He is very handsome. And I was just astounded by his transformation as a whole. He definitely took his role seriously. I thought it was really cool to know how long he sat in the chair to become Frankenstein. So whenever they did his just his face and his hands, it took him about 6 hours just to sit in the chair with makeup. And that's just 6 hours before he even started filming. And then they did his entire body, which is a lot. It's a lot. He did have a double, but still, it was a lot. That was 11 to 12 hours. And that, like I said, that was prior to filming. So imagine you sitting in a chair for 11 to 12 hours, getting all this makeup done, trying to zone into your character, and then having to film for 8, 9 hours. I mean, whew, he was dedicated. He was dedicated. And then another cool fact that I found out, originally, the role was going to go to Andrew Garfield. He played Spider-Man, which I didn't think it was good. But I cannot even imagine him in that role. This role was like, he was born to play this role. Jacob, I don't think the movie would have hit me the same way if Andrew would have done it. Like, I definitely, when they were doing interviews to the main characters, their press interviews, they asked Guillermo del Toro, like, what made him select these particular actors for these roles. And one of the things that he said, and I truly definitely agree, he says he looks at their eyes. He looks at their eyes and sees like what story can they tell with their eyes. That it didn't even matter if they acted well, because he knew he was going to get the profound interpretation through their eyes, which I thought that was amazing, because a lot of the scenes, you definitely feel like you're there with the characters. It was really beautiful. I definitely agree with him, because as he's playing this creature, when you think of Frankenstein, for some reason, most people, even me growing up, I had this interpretation that he was scary and like he was a monster. But no, he was more childlike, and he was like wanting to learn, wanting to figure out his identity, or how did he came to be. And Victor Frankenstein, the one that created him, he just did not have the patience to teach him. He didn't have the patience to teach him, which made him become almost a little bit like his father, the way his father treated him when he was younger. And he tried to kill him. He tried to kill him because he just thought, like, you know what, this creature is crazy. He's dumb. He's not understanding what I need him to, like, what his purpose is. But obviously, whenever you are born, because it's almost like he was born from nothing, you want to learn. It's like your natural instinct to want to learn. After he tried to kill him, not magically, but he managed to survive the explosion. And in doing that, he was able to go out into the world and really experience other people. And during that time, his first few encounters with human beings, he ended up encountering and befriending this old man that was blind, that taught him the beauty of life, the good things about what's out there. Because when you're blind, I do feel like you have to rely on your other senses and go with your instinct on how people really are versus you can't see their expressions. You have to kind of take them at their word. And he was not scared of the creature. And he was telling him, like, look, I know you're not happy. You need to figure out how you came to be. And maybe that will let go some of your anger. And he was able to discover how did he come to be, which angered him because he found out quickly that not only was he created from different body parts of men that Victor had created him from, but he also had this magic power of being able to quickly heal, which means he was not able to die. And when he got to see a little bit of how Victor treated him and how Elizabeth treated him, because he definitely fell in love with her at first sight because she was so kind to him, he realized that he did not want to be here by himself. Because honestly, if we really think about it, we're not meant to be on earth by ourselves, like lonely. There's just no way. Anybody will go crazy. Like, I've seen other shows where they give people survival situations, and they can't survive because it plays a mental toll on them. It's not even the elements, and it's not even lack of food. It's the mental that messes with you. And that's practically what was happening with the creature. He's like, man, I don't want to be on this earth by myself. Like, I'm going to have to witness and watch all these people die. Like, so then he became determined to find Victor and say, hey, I'm not that mad at you that you try to kill me, but at the same time, I don't want to be stuck here by myself either. So I need you to create a Mrs. Creature, because I don't want to be here by myself. And Victor thought in a negative light because he did not like the way the creature turned out or how he thought it would turn out. He was like, no, I'm not going to give you a creature, because I'm not going to create a woman for you, because what are you going to do? Try to procreate, and then you're going to have all these monster babies? Like, that's not what my purpose was. But neither was the creatures. The creature just did not want to be by himself. So in the end, there's like a twist of events where Victor's love interest ends up falling for the creature, and the creature ends up falling for her. And of course, tragedy happens, and she passes away. And of course, the creature wants vengeance on Victor for killing the one female that he really felt saw him for him. And it was just so sad, because it's like all these characters were going through this massive transformation throughout the film, and they were just not getting what they were hoping for. It was just loss after loss after loss. So it was really, really sad. And in the end, of course, Victor Frankenstein passes away from just being injured and terminal illness and all that stuff. But it was really sad. But I did wanted to comment on the sets. I was looking into it. The sets were so beautifully crafted. They were all like man-made. There was very minimal CGI in this film, which makes you even more gravitate towards the film, because you almost feel like it's like you're in there. And I did find out that Guillermo del Toro was very specific on the angle that he filmed the entire movie. He filmed it as though you were watching it from a child's view. So if you're watching the movie, you're never taller than the creature or the main characters. You're almost a child following the entire storyline from an eye level of a child. And I thought that was so beautiful and very thought out, because like I said, some of these, like the creature itself had a very childlike character to him, and you definitely empathize with him, and you're like, oh my God, but like, poor thing, I really want you to make it at this point. Like, you're not a bad creature. So I thought I was really fascinated. Like, even the boat, which was a huge part of the entire movie, the boat, it was built. It was man built. And I feel like now in Hollywood, we don't have a lot of movies where things are billed anymore. It's all like green screens, and everything's digital and like imaginary, where the main characters have to imagine they're holding something, not necessarily holding the actual thing. The lab where the creature was created, and Victor Frankenstein was doing a lot of the scenes where he was creating the creature, all of that was build, like man-made build for the filming of the movie. And I was just like, can you imagine how long it took him to build that set? Well, I wanted to know, just the lab where he was creating Frankenstein, not Frankenstein, where he was creating a creature, it took approximately 9 months to make. 9 months. Like every little detail, the whole scene. The boat itself took a little bit over a year. And a lot of the scenes where the creature is, being violent with the other people on the ship, they're all on wires, like making these scenes happen, and it's not CGI or any of that. So I thought it was really fascinating that Guillermo stuck to his like roots, and he definitely lets the characters get involved and hands-on with the set, and get inspired by the set itself, because everything's touched, like you can touch everything. And I definitely think that helps your character or set the ambiance of the movie. And that's another thing that I definitely appreciated. He thought so well of the colors and the lighting throughout the entire movie. It almost feels like you're there, like you're in this cold place in the 1800s, and you're almost a part of the scene because it's very up close. And you can see so many details as they're walking around each room that you almost feel like you're in those rooms. You're in those rooms with those characters as the story is being told. You can almost like smell the woods, the water. You can almost feel the coldness of the night, where they're in those scenes. And I was like, wow. Honestly, I feel, even though it was released mainly on Netflix, this movie is one of those movies where it should have been in the movie theaters. It should have been pushed and promoted in the movie theaters. It was pushed in some, I think it was like 129 theaters in August, but it was like world release through Netflix. And this is one of those movies that if they were to put it in the movie theater, I feel like people would have gone to see it. They would have definitely gone to see it. Worth seeing it on the big screen. Oh, I can't even imagine some of the scenes on the big screen. I personally have a projector at home, so everything looked so much bigger for me, which made me feel like I was there. So I can't imagine in the movie theater. I think it would be, whew. So, I don't know how y'all felt about this movie, but it was really, really great. I definitely highly recommend it. One of Guillermo del Toro's best movies yet, 10 out of 10. I think he made everyone very proud. It was a childhood dream of his to recreate this movie, and he did not disappoint whatsoever. I definitely think you should watch it, and it's just one of those movies that you will never forget. You won't forget. So yeah, that's my take on it, and I hope you guys like it. There's a lot of surprises in there that I did not mention that, if anybody hasn't seen it, you can still go see it. And I definitely have watched it more than once because there's so many details in the rooms that they're walking through, the backgrounds, the main character's clothing and stuff, that I feel like, I need to go back and watch it again to see what I missed, because you're constantly almost learning new things. Every single thing on set, Guillermo del Toro did mention on his press tour, every single thing that you see on screen was intentional to be on screen. And I just think it's beautiful that he was so dedicated to this film, and the actors gave it, 100%. You can definitely tell it was a passionate film to film and to be a part of. And it's going to change your lives forever, for sure. So I am so happy it was made, because I was like in awe. I was just like, oh my God, this was like such a good movie. We needed a movie like this. Like we really did. So if you don't have nothing to do for Thanksgiving next week, this is one of those movies. You can watch it with the kids, but they don't have sexual scenes, but they definitely have scenes where it's like human body parts. I don't know how they feel about that. But like I said, have your snacks because it's a long movie, but it's definitely worth it. So yeah. And from there, we're going to move on to my next segment called When I Was Younger. I'll move on to my next story, which Frankenstein reminded me of my childhood. And like how I was so eager to learn things. I grew up in California. I was born in California and I grew up in California up until like the age 11. But prior to moving, we lived in these apartments, and we were not like super poor, but we were making it. But in this particular apartments, we would have so many kids that lived there, and we would gather and hang out together, and would always come up with games to play or things to do. Always. And of course, we would always have to come back to the house, once the street lights come on. But I remember, I don't know if it was like a summer or if it was like throughout the year. But I remember we as all the kids in the apartment complex, because it was a really huge apartment complex, we decided to create a clubhouse, okay? Like towards the back of the apartments. And this clubhouse, you could be a member of it as long as you brought like snacks or food or change that we can like put in this little container. And we like set up like areas to sit, areas to eat and gather and play games. Well, mind you, this apartment complex was built right next to like a neighborhood where people actually had houses and land. And I remember we would always get into our little adventures of like going find things or, come up with random games or play freeze or tag and sometimes, we wanted to eat stuff that we didn't have at home. And there was this particular land that was on the side of the apartments right next to our clubhouse. And there was like quite a bit of land. And then towards the end of the land, there was a house. So, the land was owned by that house. Anyhow, so these people, they had like a garden, okay? They had this garden, like rows of like tomatoes, lettuce, things that you would plant, And then closer to the house, they would have pomegranate trees and like an apple tree and orange trees. And so we would make it a challenge for anyone in the clubhouse to, all right, who's going to go over the fence? And it was like a brick fence. Who's going to go over the fence and go get some fruits or vegetables and bring them back to the clubhouse so we can eat? And because we had nothing better to do. Anyhow, so whenever you would jump the fence or the border, you would have to basically like military crawl to the garden and then get a bunch of veggies or whatever you can get. I think they even had cucumbers, whatever you can get, and like either put them in your shirt or on your pockets, whatnot. And then you have to like run back. And sometimes you would have to jump over the brick wall. But in those brick walls, it's like you had the brick wall where we would jump over, and then they had the side ones, right? Well, on those brick walls, there were some areas where you would have these little steps, and you can kind of like from the side, like really tiny, maybe like an inch wide on the side of the brick wall. And if you were lucky to find it, because they would blend in with the brick, that can help you to go over. But sometimes the owners would realize we would be doing this and we would be stealing their vegetables. And they would come out screaming, yelling. Sometimes they'll come out with a gun to scare us, like get out of my garden kind of thing. And it was very, like for me, I just remember this because like when I was watching Frankenstein, he was so childlike. And there's a scene in the movie whenever he's like eating the berries off of the tree, and he's just discovering this, that it just reminded me of my childhood, that I would just like jump this brick wall and try to like get these fruits and veggies and bring them back to the clubhouse. And I don't know why we were just so fearless to do that, or we just did not care, or we really needed to bring food back to the clubhouse. Like, I do know that. I think they even had persimmons, if I'm not mistaken. But one time we almost really did get caught. Like, okay, so there's the brave kids that would go to the garden. Then there were the real cool brave kids that were able to make it to the trees and get the good stuff, because that was where the good stuff was. And that was a risky move, because most likely you were going to get caught by the homeowners. Like, they were always on the lookout. I swear they were on the lookout. But yeah, and then you have the furthest longer way to run back to the fence. I mean, I would say it was at least a good 2, maybe 300 feet, maybe more, before we can get to the brick wall. It was, but you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. I had such a crazy fun childhood. Even though we were broke, we would find the most coolest adventures to do. And I remember that clubhouse like yesterday, like we really made it like a safe place for us to go whenever we didn't want to be around our parents. And it didn't matter how old you were. Everybody was welcome. You just had to contribute in some kind of way. And the kids would just show up there random times. That was just like our hideout spot from our parents. And like only we knew where the clubhouse was and how we got back there. And we even like created almost like a little house, like, so it was definitely a cool memory to have. I don't recommend it to the kids now, but for me, we lived in the city, and that was almost like a non-city adventure. So I would not recommend doing that now to any kids, stealing fruits off of people's trees or any of that. But that's the memory that came to mind whenever I was watching the Frankenstein movie, and I was looking back on some of those scenes. And we also did like a lot of cool games that I feel like you would find in old time movies. Specifically hide and seek, like all over the parking lot. We would do hide and seek. We tried to be as creative as possible and make everyone feel welcome. So yeah, that was a cool memory, and I thought I would share that with you guys. Some of my little adventures before I moved to Louisiana, which is weird because over here we have so much land and we never play those games. Like, as soon as I moved to Louisiana, we did not go outside much, like hardly ever. So it was really weird. But in the city, I almost felt safer in the city because there's just more things to do. But yeah, so we're gonna move on to my questions. I got 2 questions only to do today, so hopefully they're brief and they're not too long for you guys. So the first question is, if you can go to college, what would you study? If I can go to college, so when I was younger, I wanted to do like interior design. But now that I know what's out there, I probably would do something along the lines of crime investigations, or there's this like studying genealogy and using my studies in genealogy to help solve crime. That would be really neat, because I know they have that going on right now. Forensic genealogy, I guess you can say. Yeah, anything to do with that, with forensics. I think I would do really well in that. That's like a mini talent of mine, that would be my go-to. But I don't know if that pays enough. Okay, so next question is, why is it taboo to get counseling? Whether you're a man or a woman, people always just assume you're crazy. it was taboo. I feel like people are becoming more open to it, but I don't understand why. I feel like we all need therapy. One, I mean, if you're my age right now, I feel we have enough generational trauma that we should have been put in counseling when we were like in elementary. So I definitely think it should be normalized, not frowned upon. I don't see nothing wrong with it. I've done it. I love it. I don't look at it like there's something wrong with me. I almost look at it like I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm just trying to process my emotions or hear it from a different perspective. But it is very common. Some people get offended when you tell them like, oh my God, I think you should go see a therapist. They definitely get offended quickly. Women are more open to it. Men are definitely, for some reason, closed off to it. They just like, oh, I'm not going to talk to some stranger about my feelings or my problems. But like I said, that's a generational trauma thing because it's been looked down upon, specifically for men. I definitely think it would help everyone and anyone that would get it. The more knowledge you have about your emotions and the way you think and solve and empathize with certain circumstances, I think it helps you as a person. And, that's all we can do, try to become better people. But to each their own, to each their own. Other than that is the end of our segment this week. If you guys have any questions or are looking for any advice, feel free to submit them in the comments below, or you can message me directly on my Insta. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow me on Twitter or on Insta, and I will be happy to answer those questions for you guys. And other than that, I hope you guys have a good evening and see you next week.